nice to see you. We'll start with your team news. After the game at Swindon, you said there was a bit of illness in the camp.
Yeah.
What's the situation there, and how is everyone?
It's still been about the start of this week, so we've got a couple of boys in today for the first time, see how they are, and so we're going to then assess them again in the morning. Really, we need to leave it as long as possible because we want as many players available as possible. And but there's a few that have missed a couple of days. Unfortunately, that's from last week and then over the weekend.
Aidan and George, wasn't it, who were suffering last weekend? Are those the players that you're going to assess?
Yeah, there was more than that. There was 3 or 4. So we're just going to assess them. But they've all attended training today, which is a positive. But obviously, being match day -1, it's a light session. We just need to give them another 24 hours, eating right, sleeping, drinking, all that sort of thing, and see if they've replenished the energy they've probably lost.
I might already know the answer to the next question, but can you shine a light on the others who are touch and go?
No, not really. No. It's it's hit different people at different levels. Some it's hit harder than others. So we'll just assess that in the morning and pick the best team.
Other than that, any fresh concerns?
No. Pretty much everyone was out there today that we'd hoped to be out there at this stage of the season. So obviously the long-term injured are still not with us, but everyone else was there.
Just a few days on from that game at Swindon, have you had a chance to see the red card back? And if so, your thoughts on that, and just how big of a miss will Richie's presence be in the next 3 games? Yeah,
look, Richie's been without doubt the most consistent player I've had in my whole time here, as in playing wise and level of performance. So it'll be unusual and not something we've experienced too often. In fact, I don't know if he has actually missed a league game since I've been. I'm not sure. Could be wrong. And so he's been ever present for us. Him and Sam Walker this season. And this is what football is. It's a team game. I think I thought it was the decision or the incident was one that could go either way. I think there's tough challenges week in, week out in football. We see them, and it's gone against us and gone against Richie, unfortunately. So we have to take it on the chin. We have to look forward and go from there. But look, he's been a superb player for us this season all along. But I spoke to him today that even though he can't play, he can still lead the team.
I was going to say that, and Anthony touched on it when he's had spells on the sideline as well. As a more senior player, you can influence off the pitch. You've probably been in that position yourself. How do you go about doing that? What kind of things can you do?
You just got to be yourself, really. And it is different as a player. You feel different whether you're playing or not. So there's always a difference in how you feel you can communicate. But I think as a captain, I think that supersedes that sort of feeling, and you get used to sort of looking after the team, looking after other players, looking after players that are not playing, or trying to influence them, keeping on board with positive thoughts and conversations. This, that, and the other. And each player does it differently. Each captain does it differently. But I just wanted to make sure. I think he knows anyway, but I didn't want to leave it unturned by him not being available to play and sort of being on the periphery of things. He still needs to be right in the middle of it, in the change room, in the canteen, and on the training pitch, and driving this team forward, because he's played a massive part in what we've done so far this season. But his influence is still there to be felt.
Manager of the season nomination. Just your reaction to that news?
I just want to win games. Honestly, it's I don't know, a bit. Maybe 10 years ago when I first started managing, it had been something that I'd have maybe got distracted by or something. I don't know, or felt chuffed about. And listen, they're all pleasant things, but it's so far down the list of priorities that I have right now. It's about taking these opportunities that are right in front of us. So, all my only thoughts, I saw it come up on the ticker tape on the TV earlier on. I didn't give it a second thought, honestly. All I was doing was planning and preparing for tomorrow's game. So, I think Bobby's up for something as well. So that's a real positive. It's a players' game. I'd rather them take the accolades, but honestly, it is what it is.
Yeah, maybe a bit easier to talk about Bobby and not yourself, but up for young player of the season. Just how much do you think he has come on this season, and how deserving is he of not just the nomination but the award?
Yeah, look, I think I mentioned it last week or the week before about how he has shown an attitude and a character and personality to turn my thoughts around him on a player, because I didn't not this time last year, but maybe 13, 14 months ago, he wasn't. I don't believe he was on our bench. I think he was training every day at the same level that he does now. And because the situation was in, I wanted to see if he had a part to play this season, really. And he showed that in the last 7 games of last season, I think it was. And then since then, he's just gone from strength to strength. I think he's intelligent. I think I said again about not having to give him that much information we give him all the similar information, but some you have to keep relaying it. But with Bobby, it seems to go straight in and he takes it on board. And I think he trusts us. He trusts the whole coaching squad. He trusts his teammates. He's just a proper footballer in my eyes. Does everything to the utmost of his abilities. And wants to improve all the time, whether it's through analysis, whether it's in a gym, whether it's on the training pitch. He practices what he wants to get better at. Look, I can't talk about, I don't know who else is up for that award, so it's difficult to compare, but if Bobby wins that award, then if he gets anything in throughout his football career, it won't be through luck. It'll be through he's deserved it, because he works hard.
Just on your squad and looking specifically at the new faces who came in January, I think they've all played their part absolutely since they've come in. Just how important have they been? Just how well they've integrated into the group, into this running?
Yeah, look, I think they had a spell not in the team at the time when they came in, because the team was absolutely motoring, and we had the time in between games to keep putting the same team out. But when it got into that spell when we were Saturday, Tuesday for a long time, it gave opportunities to those players to come into the team, and they've all contributed in their own way to where we are right now. I think it's a challenge for them, first and foremost, coming into a team that's winning, a team that's got good quality, but they've all shown the right attitude and commitment to A, supporting the team, but B, competing to get in it. And we need that competition. I think all good teams have strong competition all over the pitch, and I feel we have that here.
Next month, commemorating the 40th anniversary of the fire tragedy. Bradford as a whole, the city of culture this year. The club, and I know you won't want me to say this, could be on the cusp of doing something special. Are you feeling Bradford as a place at the moment feels really together? And if so, do you feel proud that the football club is really playing its part in that?
100%, yeah. I think, look, it's Bradford City as a football club is a big part of Bradford City. Yeah. The people and everything, and it is a big year for the people of Bradford. First of all, about the 40th anniversary. I think the city culture thing is another added bonus onto that. And you're right, we want to play our part. We want to play our part, and I think the players have done that so far already. But obviously, we're not at that finishing line, and we want to finish in a way which justifies all the work that everyone's put in, and make it a season and a year that people will remember for decades. Young and old, and so we're not trying to contribute on the other side of it, the city of culture. We just got to do our part of the job. And but I think if you're from Bradford, if you have an affinity for Bradford, then I think you have a good feeling about your city at the moment, and a good feeling about your football club, and the team in particular. So I think you're right, it's hard to speak about it when the job's not done, but we all feel that motivation, that inspiration to play our part in what could be a really good year for the club, and remember those people from '85 in the best way possible.
Notts County, obviously the opponents tomorrow, and this fixture last season, I know it was in that difficult run in March. I know at times you've spoken that it was difficult for you as well. You've always had that belief, Graham. You've always backed yourself and your players. But in terms of just 13 months on, is there any part of you you're surprised that the club has made this progress? Or was that belief always there that you could get to this point?
No, I wouldn't say surprised. I knew that where we had to change, where we had to go, where we had to drive the club and drive everything within it. And it's not been just by me, by a long shot. All the people that work for the club and around me have supported all the decisions we had to make along the way, and we've made tough decisions together, which is the most important thing. I think we've shown a unity to overcome those challenges of 12, 13 months ago, and show what a positive team we can be and what a good club we can be. So it was a real difficult month, probably one of the most difficult months I've had in my management career. So to see how the team has blossomed and sort of transformed itself really is credit to everyone who's played their part in it, and there's an awful lot of people in that, but ultimately it's the players that have to turn the results around, and they deserve immense credit for doing that from that stage, because obviously there's some still here from that period, quite a few. But I think I said it last week. I think our team was born from a real difficult place. We were, it's born in an adversity, and I think that adds strength to what we are as a team.
Home form's been pivotal. The Valley Parade crowd have certainly played their part. Just how excited are you to be back at home tomorrow, given the crowds we've seen over the last few weeks? And I know you don't read too much into it, but the occasions we've seen, it's going to be another occasion, isn't it, tomorrow night? Yeah,
I think the previous two especially have been like that, and it's a big game because it's two teams that are going hell for leather at the top of the table for ultimate success. So it'd be a big game anyway. But I just think with what's been built up at Valley Parade, certainly over the last couple of months, and certainly in the last month, the attendance is the atmosphere, the environment has been something just a level above, and I think the team have rose to that as well and took their level of game up another notch. So I don't know how much we have to do that tomorrow. I think it's a tough game, but we have to be us, and I keep speaking to the players about that whenever we go off course. I don't think it leads to any success when we do play our game. I think that's our best chance of winning. So, but certainly without a shadow, the players have really relished the environment that the supporters have created at Valley Parade, and I think it's worked both ways, obviously, because the team have played some cracking stuff and won a lot of games. So, but there's another couple that we have to keep going for.
Best of luck for it. Thanks for your time.
You spoke about when it was the Saturday, Tuesday all the time, about how you'd almost changed your outlook on things and were prepared to change the team around.
Yeah.
Looking ahead to what now, the last 4 games of the season, you got one on Thursday, then one on Monday. Do you look ahead to the Monday game thinking, I need to have players for that, and I'm not sure they're ready for Thursday, or vice versa?
No, not really now. Look, we've got 4 games of this regular season left. I think there's enough time in between the games to recover in between from from tomorrow's output going into Monday's game. So the only thing coming into my thinking now is the fitness and physical levels of the players. Because we have had a bout of illness throughout the club for the last week. I think form obviously comes into it as well. The players who are feeling good, and I look at the personality and the character of the individual as well, and who can go into these games and still perform at the exact same level, and not be deterred from what the challenge is. I think it's important to do that. So, but I think the players have played under immense pressure all season, to be honest, the whole squad, and in general terms held themselves really well. So it's more about that really. So no, the rotation thing for for game to game I don't think it's necessary now. I think there's enough space in between the games to be consistent with our choices. But obviously players and their physical level and their form obviously come into that before any other reason, to be honest.
And Anthony Sartovic got some minutes on Saturday.
Yeah.
Is he fit enough to start, in your opinion, or? He was saying he wanted to start against Crewe, but it's you obviously said no. You need more training.
Yeah, well, he'd only trained with us for one day. He'd been out on the training pitch for quite a while with the medical team, but he'd only really integrated into the squad training the day before the Crewe game, and it was just, I'm all for risk and reward and balancing that all, but I thought it was all risk. I felt we had a team good enough to win the game the day after. But we wanted, Sars especially for this running, when the pressure tweaks up a little bit. I think you need your players that have the personality to take that on board. So I think he's got I don't know what he played, maybe 30 something minutes maybe on at the weekend. He's trained this week. So we haven't picked the team yet. We're going to have a meeting now with the staff, but he's certainly in contention to do that. But I still need to weigh up how much training he's done, because us at our best, we're a very intense team, and we need to play at that pace.
Cheers. Okay. So Graham, obviously, say all these big games now. Another game against a team right up there with you, but Notts County, you've played them 3 times. You've lost all 3. They've scored 10, which is quite unusual against one of your teams.
Yeah.
In it, basically. I mean, is there a little bit of, as part of the, another ingredient, the fact that it'd be nice to put one over on them, and this is a team we haven't sort of put our mark on yet?
No, not really from last season. I think the first game was my second game, was it? My second game here. So I was getting to know the team. We started with a formation that we'd played the week before, and our first game, quickly at half time, we've changed that and not gone back to it. I realised this group of players was more suited for something else, so we understood that after 1.5 games. So that sort of game went like that. I think the second game last season, I thought we actually started well, but conceded a goal against run of play, and then we were in that moment where it just wasn't happening for us. So it was part of that process. I'd go into this season more of a reference point for this team. My history is irrelevant for this team. Because I couldn't tell you what my record is against Notts County over the last 10 or 12 years. You know what I mean? I haven't got a clue. So the only thing I'm bothered about is tomorrow's game. We addressed a couple of things tactically after that game for our benefit going forward, which we have put in place since then, and been much better in certain aspects of what cost us goals that day. Because I sort of reviewed that game just to get an idea again about what we did and what they did, and I'd sort of almost forgot how quick the goals happened. I think 3 and 4 minutes or something. It was just a mad little spell. But we started that game reasonably well. But Notts County are a team that can score against anybody because they've got such attacking talent in their team. I believe we're a much better team than we were when we played them at that stage, and much more comfortable in our skin, much more fluid in how we want to play, and we're obviously looking for a positive result, and I don't see any reason why my team can't do that tomorrow night.
As you sort of mentioned, Notts County's strength is their potency in front of goals, and they have got those players, and
yep.
It's one of those on the back of the Swindon one, which was a bit of a abnormality in terms of defensive wise. It's probably a test of, right, let's get back on the horse, and you've got to get back on the horse because you're playing this lot who can punish you if they get the opportunity.
Yeah, but we have to understand the last game, the Swindon game, the goals came when we had 10 men. 2 of them were own goals. That can happen at any time. So it's a difficult game from that perspective, because Swindon are playing that game with nothing to lose. Then mid-table, hover around those positions, they can gamble with no jeopardy really. I think it's different for teams at the top end of the table, or the bottom end, for instance. So I think we're aware of their goal scoring attributes and their abilities. I think we have just as good goal scoring players and attacking attributes. We just haven't had them on the pitch enough this season. We've had real difficult injuries at difficult times to a lot of our attacking talent, and I think it's hit our overall goal output over the course of the season. But we're still really high up there for XG and so forth, and we're still reasonably okay on goals scored. So it's I think it's two good teams that do like to attack, and I believe we'll go for it. I can't talk for their manager or their team, but we will play in the way we play.
And the fact that obviously the fixture's been moved forward to a Thursday night, a TV decision, in a way it does give, it's almost a, get the result done and then it's like tell the rest, follow that. There is an opportunity there to perhaps, put a little bit of pressure on those teams around you.
Yeah, I don't think like that. I don't, because I think there's been several fixture dates where other teams have kicked off early and then we've kicked off early this, that, the other, and honestly it's never been part of my approach or my team's approach going into that game. So I think that's we want to win the game no matter what, whatever the inspiration or motivation or message. We just need to focus on what we have to do tactically and as players and preparing our minds and do the right things. I think we've become accustomed to being consistent with our preparation, because I did feel if we did that from day one of the pre-season and then the season, when we got down to this stage, our mindsets would be pretty consistent going into it, and we wouldn't just suddenly have to get ourselves up for big pressure games. I think we've been playing and approaching the games like that from day one, because ultimately, as we've said many times, a Bradford City team playing at Valley Parade in League Two is always under pressure to win. So I think the players have built up a bank of composure and a bank of understanding a game in its entirety, and the pressure on us to win games, regardless of what situation is happening elsewhere, is always there, and the players have become used to it. So that other aspect of it doesn't really come into our minds, to be honest.
I was going to say that experience of that pressure, that spotlight could be handy in this situation, because when you're the only fixture, there'll be a lot of eyes on you from everywhere, won't they? And perhaps players or teams that aren't sort of accustomed to that, it's on you every time, might sort of feel it a bit more possibly.
Yeah, but I think if there's a team that should be used to that sort of spotlight, it's us. It's our players. I think the spotlight is always on us anyway. I think it's great for the players to experience that, to come to terms with that. I think going into the season, everyone speaking about the historical difficulty of playing out Valley Parade for a Bradford City player. I think the players have put that to bed, to be honest. I think they've shown the wherewithal, the mindset to show that we can be focused on the job in hand, and so whoever's watching, it's just irrelevant to us. Honestly, we could be playing in front of one man and his dog. I want that. Honestly, I want that intensity. We train that way, and there's no one watching us. Well, there is a couple of people obviously that come down to watch us, but general terms, we're there and we're going hell for leather against each other. So that's just the norm for this team, I think. So. It's a good opportunity again to show what a good team we are.
With the sort of league table and everything, Graham, do you see it as, and it's so close, do you see it as a bit like a four game season almost, as a clutch of clubs, and what's happened before, it is important, but it sort of isn't, if that makes sense.
No, look, it comes down to this point, this bottleneck really, isn't it, of 4 games, and it's the teams that win the most points in that spell really. But we're ahead of other teams.
Yeah.
Other teams are playing catch up. We're still trying to chase down the team in front of us right now. So it's but we've learned how to get to the top of the mountain. It's one step at a time. You can't just skip a few and jump to the top. You have to step by step get one level up each time, and it's the next game. So I think I know there's talk and speculation, and everyone's trying to second guess every result that's happening and who will finish on what. And I'll tell you what, I don't think anyone's probably got it right over the last 7 games. So, which is why I never tried, because I know how football is. So I just focus on my team. Yeah. I think I've got a good team here. I think I've got a motivated team, an inspired team that want to they want to justify the support we've got this season
yeah.
with results, and I think we've got a great opportunity. Like other teams have, everyone will be probably talking similar in the top 6 or 7. But we've been there for a consistent amount of time. We've turned out results for the last 12, 13 months consistently. So we know if we maximise our potential or get anywhere near it, then we've got as good a chance then.
It's obviously a blow with Richie, but if ever a club's, I mean, you've had big blows before. You had it with Cookie and everything, and you've cracked on, and it's a different sort of thing, but it's the same sort of what you've got to do.
No, it's a different player, but it's the same scenario. It's a big character, big player for the club historically. You know, even before my time.
Yeah.
So and during my time, been like I say, probably the two of the most consistent and performers. You know, I think Cookie's missed one game in my time here. Richie none in league. But all the players that know me and have worked with me for a long time, certainly since I've been here, know how much I talk about the team more than anything, and I never highlight individuals above anything else above the team. I've never seen listen, people perceive teams to be one-man teams, but they're not. They never are. You know, some people have a higher profile than others, but not with me. They're all important. The team's the most important thing for us. I think we've suffered blow after blow with big players missing this season. Yet we're in a great position still. That shows the strength of character and unity that this squad has got, and we have to keep proving it from now to the end of the season.
It seems for yourself, if you can get over the line, it's not about the glory, it's about the journey. You spoke about where you were last March. You've had injury issues, you've had illness, you've had blows like at Swindon, you've had the thing with Cookie, with Richie, and I think all your players. You've got good pros. A lot of them are like that as well. It's about the journey, you know.
No, look, we you know, because we tried to map out a picture of what the season would look like, you know, going forward, and you know, it wasn't all rosy. I didn't even, you know, purport it to be like that, or even trying to attempt to do that. This is the challenges, and there'll be challenges that we've never faced or we don't even know are coming, but they're going to hit us, and we have to be prepared for it, and we have to be ready for it. And the biggest thing is you cannot feel sorry for yourself. That's the one thing we've dispelled at all times. Straight away, as soon as we've come off the pitch or got into training the next day, it's like motivation. Let's get our heads down. Let's go and achieve what we can achieve. And I do think the journey is worthwhile. I do think the journey is a part of it. And I think, but you know, your aspirations to be successful. You know, you know your destiny, what you're chasing. You can be as determined as you want for it. But you never know how it's going to go. You know, as in like the actual journey. You've got your target, you want to get there, and I do believe we will. But I can't tell you what the next 4 games are going to look like getting there. You know what I mean? But I do believe these players and this team are good enough to do it.
I know you said that you're not really looking at the table or taking it one game at a time, but if you do win tomorrow, you can go top. So at what stage do you start looking at the table?
No, I'm aware of the table. You know what I mean? You know, just you know, I'm not blind to that. I think maybe my quotes early in the season, the tables are relevant to me. It was too many games to go, too far ahead. But certainly at this stage, you know, you're aware of the table. But I don't look at. Honestly, I couldn't tell you anyone else's fixtures at the weekend, next week or anything, because I don't see how they change my focus going into my team and my game, and our game. Sorry. So. Going top tomorrow, I'm only bothered about being where we are after 46 games. That's when I can sort of judge what we've done, good, bad or indifferent. Right now, there's nothing to take from it apart from we're in a strong position to try and fulfil our destiny.
Cool. A lot of players this sort of period makes or breaks them, I guess. Callum Kavanagh scored 6 of your last 7 goals now, so how pivotal do you think he'll be in the running?
Look, I think the players, as I said, we've had so many different players play this season because of our injury issues and the illness recently, that they've all been valuable to us at different stages, you know, different runs of form and so forth. But you know, Cav's come into the team after different spells throughout the season, but I think he's steadily growing into what makes a consistent performer and understanding the basics you have to do well and you have to tick off day in, day out to to get you rewards of scoring goals that win games and stuff like that. So I think he's in a really good place mentally. I think he's in a good place physically. Then you've got a chance of being a good player. Only when you tick those both boxes, and when you do, then you've got a better chance, and that's where Cav is right now. So, but we know we've got other players that have had as bigger contributions without the headlines in those games that Cav has played.
Finally, as well, there's a lot of results are up and down. Maybe not what we'd expect around the league and around teams that are dropping points around you that should be winning. How important is it that you take it by the scruff of the neck now and not just watch what other teams are doing and focus on yourselves?
Well, look, that's what I've been trying to say all along. It's there for us. It's up to us to take it. But I'm telling you, all clubs in this position are saying the same things. It's about actions. I've said it all along. I could sit here and talk for hours and make you all feel great, but it's how we act and how we behave. You know what I mean? And I believe our team have done that more often than not. They haven't shouted their mouth off about what they can achieve, what they're going to do. They've just gone out there and tried their best to do it. And that's all we have to do in the next 4 games, starting with tomorrow's game, the most important one because it's the next one. But it's on our actions and our behaviours. We can all talk a good game. We have to go and make it happen. So I believe we have the players that will go and do just that.